This is a Rogue Media Network podcast.
Marriott's on the move.
What?
Marriott's on the move.
Again?
Marriott's on the move.
If you're dreaming about moving to a new city to pursue the life of your dreams, this podcast is for you. Moving 18 times in 23 years to 5 of America's top cities, I know it's not easy to make those decisions alone. I help you develop the dream, the plan, and the move, even if we need to get scrappy to get you there. I'll be doing interviews, career and city spotlights, and sharing my crazy moving stories, tips, tricks, and scams to avoid. Traveling to explore your dreams has never been easier. Now let's get moving. All right, friends. Thank you so much for joining the show today. I am super excited to introduce my guest today. Her name is Christiane Shroeter, and she is the host of the Happy Healthy Hustle podcast. She is a lovely, lovely human that I've been enjoying getting to know over the last couple months, primarily because her and I have so much in common. We talk about a ton of different things, and we'll say that we're going to talk for 20 minutes, and then we talk for 2 hours. So I have been lucky enough to record on her podcast. I was featured on her blog, which if you're not already on it, you have to go to her website. It's Hello Happy Nest and join her mailer, and you'll get to see what her blog and some of those things are. But she's got such an interesting history, and I'm just going to go over a couple things because she grew up in Germany. So we're going to talk a little bit about her journey from Germany to America. She went to the Midwest first. I think that was the Little Apple that you went to first. We can talk about that because there's the Big Apple and the Little Apple, which is adorable. And then she ended up in San Luis Obispo, which is one of my favorite cities in California. So I'm thrilled to talk about that because I absolutely love that city. But in her early days, you did grow up in Germany. So I love like your accent. You've got such an amazing like history and journey and past. And overall, you're a professor. You've got like a master's in like a lot of things. I feel like you've got such a cool background. So Christiane, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being here. And I'm sure I missed a million things. So you're a professor, you're a mom, you're, you love everything health. And we're going to talk a little bit about that today. So thank you and welcome to the show.
Thanks so much, Marriott, for having me here. It's certainly a wonderful pleasure to share some of my wonderful secrets about being on the move. That's really what I'm all about. So I'm going to share some really cool secrets and some of my absolute favorites. It's a very timely recording because you're moving into the fall season, the holiday season, and I am a health coach. So I couldn't be more of help to you today.
Yeah, this is like your Super Bowl, the holiday season, right? Like people just go crazy and I know they get all out of control. And I will say though, Christiane and I recorded, it was a couple of months ago now, and we decided to do it again. And part of it was because, and she knows this, and I think most of you know this, I had some back issues back in April. And I mean, for a couple months, I could barely even walk. My brother had to move in with me to help me like just function as a normal human being. And in that time, I haven't been eating very well. I certainly haven't worked out. I don't think physical therapy counts as working out. And even that, I kind of started to let go. And so when her and I were texting back and forth the other day, I just said, I'm just not in a great place. And I adore your Instagram and all of your videos and your reels and all the stuff that you talk about, like getting healthy and just making small steps. But I think it's really important, especially in the moving journey, because people don't think about like how you feel physically, like your robustness, like your mental and physical health when you're actually about to embark on a move. And as I'm going through my own framework, thinking about moving next year, that was something that kept coming up for me. Like I physically just don't feel ready. So she was gracious enough to come back on the podcast and kind of talk through, some of the things that she's done. Because you have your 21-day wellness journey, which I think I'm going to take and jump on that because I think it would really help me. But But let's get into that a little bit and just kind of talk about kind of, I don't know, like what your reaction was when you saw that. Because I know you think we typically align on food and, working
Mhm.
out and all those things. So I would let, your perspective is very important to me.
Well, I appreciate that we're actually recording it again because to me, I come in at the point really when you feel I could be most helpful.
Hmm.
And it sounds like this is a super important time in your life because you're transitioning. And we are always transitioning. Change is always there, whether we're physically moving or our body is changing, or maybe there's just something in our lifestyle in general that's changing. And so when changes are happening, our overall wellness changes too. And
Yeah.
sometimes it kind of spins out of control. And sometimes it's just not even existent at all. And you're like, hello, wellness, where are you? Right? So that's
Yep.
totally cool because that's just how things happen. I sometimes think about wellness, it's like a really good friend. It's always there, but sometimes you just don't really see them. And
Yeah.
then you kind of like maybe have to like pull back the layers a little bit and say, oh, friend, here you are. I knew you were there all along. And that's the same thing with wellness and kind of finding yourself in those moments and pushing the reset button is what I absolutely adore because I have so many client transformation stories that I will share today. And that's really encouraging us to just, get started.
Reconnect with our wellness journey. And I love that because even this morning I had thrown out a note to some of my neighbors, because I had a treadmill in my bedroom, which I'd wake up every morning and I wasn't jumping on it. And I was feeling shame and feeling bad about myself. I'm like, how much closer can it was literally like 2 feet from my bed. And so my brother came over the other day and helped me move it into the garage. I should say he moved into the garage. I just kind of directed traffic a little bit. But I took, some time and I reorganized my garage and I made kind of a gym in there and I threw it out to my neighbors like, listen, 7 a.m. every morning starting Monday, I'm going to be in the home gym. If anybody wants to come and join me, amazing. If you don't, I get it. But like, I need accountability. And if you do too, like, come join me. And we just did literally like Jillian Michaels' 30-day shred. It's like a 20-minute video. And then we took a walk. And I can't even tell you how accomplished I feel already in the day. And it's like 1 in the afternoon, so I don't know. I just feel like that reconnection is important because you don't think about that as part of your move. But you've been like studying health and fitness and all of that stuff since you were very young because you had some struggles when you were younger with eating disorders and such, right?
Hmm. Yeah, so I think what you're kind of mentioning is like creating a habit, but also the accountability. And
Yeah.
then, of course, thinking about the feeling that's, so to say, on the other side of the workout. So,
Yeah.
when I lived in Germany, I think part of it also is, and that ties very much in with what you are really looking into with Marriott on the Move, that there are some locations that connect more with you and some locations in the world that maybe connect less with you. When I
Yeah.
lived in Germany, I somehow didn't feel like the infrastructure and the overall lifestyle really went along with who I am. I never really
Mm.
felt like, oh, this is like totally the place where I'm going to thrive and I'm going to
Yeah.
accomplish amazing things. And as soon as I set my foot on US soil, I know that's like super dramatic right there. I kind of like felt like I was just letting out a breather, and I was like, ah, this is who I am home. We all
I
have
love it.
this.
Yeah.
And I think that when you have a eating disorder, you're really trying to control what goes in your body and what you do. And because I felt like things I felt didn't feel in charge of myself in Germany.
Yeah.
So that was really the one thing that I felt I could control. Like I was hoping to control my digestive issues
Yeah.
by thinking more about what I put in my body. And I was starting to overthink it, to
Mm.
like analyzing it to the point of like, gosh, should I actually be eating it? Because in reality, I don't like using the word diet. But if you think about all these crazy diets that you find on the internet that are totally hideous,
Yeah.
whether you're talking about the white food diet or the whatever, this diet, it's really
Yeah.
just making you think about what you eat. And then it can become to the point of being an obsession. So eating
Yeah.
disorders are really like just an an addiction
Control.
to the point of being obsessive about what you do and really starting to obsess about, your external feelings. What
Yeah.
what I
I
would
can,
really emphasize is, and most of my clients really feel is when they work with me, so much of wellness is really just the internal transformation that happens where you're feeling this is what I make really experience, and that's why I do our conversation so much, to where your body and your mind and your overall spirit are in the same place, and you're feeling that whatever you do is filling your cup. And
yeah.
this is what happens to me now here in San Luis Obispo in California. I'm really filling my cup by living in this beautiful place, doing
Mhm.
things that I love, eating things that I love, and feeling that I can kind of expand who I am and share what helped me with others. So
Yeah.
I learned a lot and was a student, and now I'm sharing it as a teacher. And that's really one of my absolute superpowers that I love
Yeah.
teaching. I'm absolutely passionate about it.
Well, and your student journey is what brought you to America, right? You went to Purdue,
Hmm. Yeah,
and you studied, gosh, what did you study? I remember something about economics, right? Health economics or
health
something.
economics.
Okay. I remember
Just
thinking that was
add
so interesting. Yeah.
everything with me just has the H's, the healthy,
Yeah.
healthy hustle, health coach, hello happiness.
Yeah.
It's like I'm totally into the H. Yes,
Totally.
health
Well, but then you
economics.
went on and got your PhD. So you didn't stop at
Mm-hmm.
Purdue, right?
Nope.
Um,
Well, Kansas State was the master's and Purdue
oh yeah.
was the PhD.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
got
P
it.
for
Yeah.
Purdue and P for PhD and living in Indiana. Mm-hmm.
Indiana's interesting. I have several family members that live around the Crown Point area,
Mm-hmm.
and one of them went to Purdue. Billy, he was on the or William. I'm sorry, he goes by William. We call him Billy in the family, but he went to Purdue as well, so he was a Boilermaker. But you didn't move west until 2000, what, 7 or 8?
So I came to the United States in 1999, actually, and I immediately um, well, I put myself like coming back to like this little teaser that you build at the beginning. I'm picking up on this teaser right now. I came to the little apple of Manhattan, Kansas.
Manhattan,
So if you
Kansas.
think about the United States, and many of you might never have been there, let me introduce you. The Big Apple, obviously, we're looking East Coast. We're thinking Manhattan, New York, right?
Mhm.
But if there is a town that calls itself Manhattan and it happens to be in Kansas, the claim to fame is that it just calls itself the Little Apple. So in
I
this
think it's
particular
adorable.
case, a lot of people were like, in Germany, you think of United States, you basically just think about Baywatch, it's
Yeah.
like, oh, and then you say, I'm going to Manhattan. And that's maybe the other thing that people might know. It's like, oh, and then
Whoa,
you
yeah.
say Kansas. And at that point, people are like, you can just see like the wheels are like,
Where's Kansas?
Kansas? If I were to take a map, it's like in the middle. Yeah, that's where I went,
Uh-huh.
right? So I went to
Hilarious.
Manhattan, Kansas, and I studied there. I also met my husband there. Speaking about, my journey and all the amazing relationships that I built along the way. And then from there, went to Purdue. And from Purdue, actually, I took a job in Arkansas. So I lived in the South for a little while. I
Forgot
gained
about
that
that.
experience too. Made a lot of really interesting experiences that also really shaped of what I know now when I meet with my clients. Not that I've lived in all states, of course, but I can certainly relate to the Southern culture and the Midwest culture, given that I've lived there. And then from there, in 2007, you were exactly right about that day, I moved to the West. I started a new tenure track position at Cal Poly, becoming basically a full professor with my experience from Arkansas, being 5 months pregnant. So
Mm,
speaking about transitions in your life, moving
yeah.
across the country, I had two cats in the back of my car. We were
Wow.
driving because I was pregnant. The cats really don't like flying. So there we were, right? And to kind of like make this a little bit more like visually appealing, I brought some props along for you right
Yes, show me,
now.
show me.
Okay, so we're kind of like in the middle of my journey right here. So I
Yeah.
brought some props because I want to give you wellness today. And the props that I thought, and those are so important given that we move into the fall, into the winter season and it gets colder outside, but also cozier inside,
Yep.
I brought some mugs.
Ooh, I
So
love
I
mugs.
brought my first mug that I want to show you is actually from Germany. And it's kind of cute. Like if you think about it, it's very small and dainty. So one
Yeah.
thing about European culture is when you go to Europe, all of a sudden you realize, oh my gosh, the plates are so small. And the tiniest little cups. And
Yeah.
everything's like a little like miniature thing. But the
Uh-huh.
people itself might be tall. But all of a sudden you realize, do we supersize in the United States?
Uh-huh.
We walk around with our cups like that? Maybe we do,
Yeah.
right?
Right,
So
right.
that's maybe one thing to think about. So there's my little German cup. It has
It's
little
beautiful.
dragonflies on it. It's super cute. But yeah,
So
I love.
dragonflies, it's funny because dragonflies are my that's my sign when change is coming. I start seeing them everywhere, and I will see them in places where like you don't traditionally think of, and seasons that you don't traditionally think of. It's the craziest thing. In fact, yeah, I see it. Like that, it's literally something that I've considered. Like if I were to ever get a tattoo, that's what it would be, because just I welcome change, but it's also something that like when you're moving you start seeing signs and you start seeing things. So it's interesting that that's the one you picked. That's the one that you picked, and you never knew that. I don't share that on social. I have not, right? That's how aligned we are.
We are
I
very
love
aligned.
it.
Boom. Play it.
Have you ever listened to a commercial on the radio or a podcast and thought, I could totally do that? Well, I am challenging you today. Being a voiceover artist is an amazing side hustle that can be done from the comforts of your own home. Heck, it can be an amazing career. Just ask Jesse Carroll. Jesse's got over 1,000 voiceover credits to his name. Ever watch Backroad Truckers? He's the narrator. He's also done a ton of commercials for brands you would definitely recognize. If you're ready to try your hand at voiceovers, go to marriottsonthemove.com and head to my favorites page to learn more about his new digital course and coaching package. If you use code MOTM, you'll get 20% off at checkout.
Have you heard of Monat or Modern Nature? I hadn't either before my friend Monica was raving about their skincare products that she's obsessed with. I took their hair quiz to find out which product line would be best for me, since I just happen to be looking for new shampoo and conditioner, and I signed up for their VIP package that got me a little bit of everything to try out. Turns out they are the first anti-aging hair care line in the world, which I didn't even know was a thing, and their products are gluten-free, vegan, and Leaping Bunny certified, which means they're never tested on animals. Now I'm obsessed with their rich formulations that feature botanical extracts, essential oils, and other naturally based ingredients, and I want to share those products with you. I'll put the link in the show notes, or you can hit the faves page on my website. It's safe, EU approved, and clinically tested by third parties, so essentially robustness approved. Now back to the show.
So let me show you the next one, and we are already having connection about this one. So living in Indiana, this is in Indianapolis, Monk. Indianapolis is called Crossroads of America.
Yeah.
So actually like this mug a lot, and you can already tell, voila, right? It's a little bigger vessel. I like this mug a lot because Indianapolis is actually really a cool place if you've never been there. And so that's the fun story. When I lived at Purdue, in West Lafayette, Indiana, I already started changing my nutrition. So in Germany, I was a vegetarian. My parents were hoping it was just a teenage rebellion, but then it never went away. So mid-13, they're like, I hope she's eating German sausages again. No, I didn't. So then I moved to West Lafayette, Indiana, and that's not really the vegetarian mecca either. Well, at least at that point it wasn't. So we always had to drive to the Whole Foods in Indianapolis with a cooler in the back of the car and stock up on those fruits and veggies that I adore so much to this very day, right? Another mug that I brought, and that's a place very, very dear to my heart, and actually just went there this year, is my Paris mug.
Oh,
Right?
oui, Paris.
I know.
Oh, it's
So,
gorgeous.
and I bought this one in at the Eiffel Tower because we actually did do a bicycle tour in Paris this year, which was super neat. And
Yeah.
I kind of like, I have two daughters. So I told you earlier, I
Yeah.
came to California when I was pregnant. So I like this mug. I kind of see myself being this lady right there, even though I don't
Yeah.
know that I would necessarily ever wear a dress on it. My hubby, other daughter. Got it. Okay.
Fun.
So maybe this is a good hot chocolate cup because I can see
Yeah.
like something like floating on the top here. Okay.
Yeah.
So
It's a good like
now,
frother mug because it's deep.
oh, I have a frother too. All right. So now we're moving to California, and I just told you I'm 5 months pregnant right there. And in 2013, actually, I started my own business. So I made my own mug right
Yeah.
here. Beep. Hello,
Love it.
happiness.
It's
Because I
adorable.
realized that, especially after your body changed so much and became a vessel for children, that you have to put even more emphasis on creating time for yourself. And that's what we're going to talk a little bit about. Because here's the connection.
Woo!
Look at
Oop, oop.
that.
So you only get that mug if you're a guest on my podcast. So Christiana's got the Marriott's on the Move, the podcast special edition mug. It's kind of in between big and little. I gravitate towards gigantic mugs. So yours is probably more my style, but I did love that I could make the inside yellow, like my colors.
I love it.
Yeah.
Okay. So that was the story of the mug, so to speak, because it's good to have some props. So let's talk a
Yeah.
little bit about now moving to California, because that's really when I started seeing people that had the same issues that I struggled with, and where I thought, hold on, what you're telling me is what I experienced. I can help you.
Mm-hmm.
I can help
Yeah.
you. And that's really what happened. So I became a certified fitness coach. I teach a lot of fitness classes during the week because I needed more of the technical physical assessment right there. But I also have a master's and a bachelor's degree in foods and nutrition. So I had that element already. And then being a professor in the classroom, I met, thousands of people during the year to where I felt I'm becoming a really good presenter in the point where I can explain something in a way it's going to make you laugh and it's going to make this whole
Yeah.
thing fun. So we're not just
Yeah.
going to be like writing out boring meal plans and making like chores for you to where you feel this is going to be just like not who I am. We're going to make this super fun. Yep.
Unlike all the classes I took in college, which were super boring, and I felt like I spent most of my time asleep. So I'm lucky that I graduated and got a degree from Southern Illinois. That was terrible. I shouldn't have said that. Anybody can find it, but
Well, that's that
it's
it
true.
happened. That
I
was
can
then.
picture, yeah, I can picture the professors and because I was a public relations major. Once I got into my major and started taking classes that I was super interested, I loved it. And actually, one of
Yeah.
my dear best friends, Jody, lives in Indianapolis, and so I go and visit her on my way driving to Chicago because it's kind of the midway point from. Well, it's probably a little further than the midway point from
Crossroads.
Charlotte to Chicago. Yep, it's Crossroads of America. It's dead on, but they've got some amazing coffee shops that I have on my Instagram. So I always take pictures, and we always have to go to the same one because I love it. But
Sure.
yeah, so I mean, like going into kind of this journey and the different places that you've been, I mean, people don't often associate like how you feel and filling your cup and making
Mhm.
sure you're in the right place prior to moving. A lot of times people just make these spontaneous decisions and then you're stuck with them. And if you don't feel good, the last thing you want to do at the end of the day is like grab tape and boxes and pack them up, you know?
Mhm.
So I guess how do you go from that, like, just kind of feeling like crap,
Mhm.
but you start
Mhm.
making changes in order to get to where you're feeling like you're thriving and you've got the energy to do some of this stuff?
Mhm. Yeah, that's a really good question. So what I'm using that's very much inspired by my company name, which is called Hello Happiness. I kind
Mm-hmm.
of use a three-step method. And the three-step method is we start first, like just focusing on your wellness goals. And that's very much like, what are you trying to accomplish? Because everybody has different goals and everybody has different backgrounds. We're all completely individually different. So I focus on you. That's step one. That's, big F focus. And secondly, then I really leverage where you are. So I have to meet you where you are fun story for the L for leverage is that when I had my second daughter, I met with a personal trainer and I said, I'm exceptionally busy. I have 2 children. I work a full-time job. And he said, don't worry, we can get you in 5 days per week. And I was like, well, that was not what I meant with exceptionally busy. I more meant like, I can't do that.
Yeah.
So that's basically focusing on where you are, what you want to accomplish, leveraging where you are right now. And then the why is for we are yielding positive results. So in my coaching, I very much focus on celebrating every single success, whether that's you worked out on the first day for 5 minutes or 20 minutes, like what you did today. You got to celebrate it because every single celebration is one stepping stone in the right direction to getting to that result that you want to get to. And we are sometimes so hard on ourselves. Forget a day of workout. Maybe we didn't eat healthy. Tomorrow is Halloween and maybe we are eating some candy. You know what? That's what it's all about, right? The thing is that's absolutely not a failure. That's just what we call life.
Right.
You just have to get back and maybe get going, right? So don't delay getting started. Just feel that whenever you ask for help, that's already step 1 of an amazing wellness journey. And I've helped so many people on that journey that I always emphasize really that whatever you want to accomplish, I'm going to help you get you there. And I'm going to be your biggest cheerleader along the way. So let's do this, right?
And you're just naturally a joyful person and inspiring. So 100% you have to get on Christiana's Instagram because the videos that you post are so, I'm like, I need to get outside and take a walk. I need to get outside. I need to do this. But I mean, I think that's important because people don't give themselves a lot of credit. They just beat themselves up. And so like, even just this morning, you know, it was 20 minutes. I went through a whole, and I'm laughing because I've got a Shakeology like water bottle, which is Beachbody, which I did a lot during the pandemic as we were all stuck at home. But even just, I texted my friend Karen that came over right before we jumped on, and I just said, it's amazing how accomplished I feel already. And I'm already on my second jug of water just by making that small 20-minute choice this morning. And I didn't want to do it. Like I promise you, I woke up at 6:15, I made coffee, and I was like, oh, hopefully they don't show up. You know, and she did. And I was like, shoot, but now I feel so great. I'm glad I did it, you know, and I was able to get in the shower and get ready. And like my day started earlier than it normally does, all because of that one choice, you know? So I have to celebrate that choice and know that like, if I don't get it tomorrow, that's okay. I'm just going to pick up and do it the next day. Cause sometimes like for me personally, and I don't know if you're like this, but I'm all or nothing. So I'll, you know, if I don't have breakfast because I've actually started intermittent fasting, which I really, really enjoy. Like, you know, we've talked about my digestive issues and stuff. And for me to be fasting for 12 to 15 hours has made such a tremendous improvement. Even like I used to, I would get so stuffed up when I would eat dairy. And even now, like just having done this over the course of the last month, dairy doesn't affect me as much as it used to, which is crazy and blows my mind because I would always get like a sinus infection within a couple of days, but by fasting I'm allowing my body to heal a little bit. So it's kind of, I'm like waiting for the other shoe to drop, but no, I mean I think that's an important point you made, is that just starting, right? Just like making that decision to talk to somebody is a decision and it is a step forward. So that's huge.
Yeah, and you're bringing up such an important point because sometimes
that was Siri.
People
Siri just said, "I'm not sure that I understand from my watch. I need to turn that
Oh,
off."
no worries.
Sorry.
Sometimes people think of me as a health coach as somebody that's just, as the name says, always healthy, right? And I call myself actually a health and happiness coach because I really want to emphasize that I'm also making you happy. And when you're healthy, you tend to be happier because you feel better.
Yeah.
Right? That sometimes people associate being a health coach with just like being this ultra healthy person at all time that just sucks the fun out of things, right? And that's absolutely not how it happens. And I have days where I don't feel like working out too. Or maybe this is actually a funny thing because I teach weightlifting, I teach a spin class, I teach 6-pack abs. I teach a suspension training class that's called total body resistance training, but I also teach bar and Pilates. And so you can tell there's a lot of different styles of workouts in there, which is why I really emphasize if you don't like one of the things, I can find something that you will love, right? It's
Yes.
very much about what feels good.
Yeah.
That sometimes when I walk to a spin class, in that moment I think, "Ah, I just wish I could teach weightlifting right now." And then I realize, man, my mind is just like playing like little things on me to where it's like,
Yeah.
the little voice there and the little voice there. And
The
it's like,
devil and the angel on
no,
your shoulders.
I
Yep.
know. And then I walk past the spin studio and I'm like, oh, that would be so fun right now. But here I have to go and lift weights. Well, of course,
Right.
yeah, because maybe the weightlifting is like kind of harder on that day.
Yeah.
But what I really, really want to emphasize to all the listeners right now is after you worked out, and that, is maybe something you're kind of like going through right now and making the little exclamation marks with how amazing you feel,
Yeah.
write down that feeling. After you finished your workout, write down that feeling. Because I can tell you, even though I might walk into my fitness studio thinking, oh, I rather want to do spin instead of weightlifting, when I leave it, I never ever thought, yeah, I really did want to do spin instead of that.
Right.
So
Right.
you need to think a little bit about all the little voices that create that friction that keep you from working out, and then focus on the feeling afterwards, like, gosh, I feel strong. I'm glad I did
Yeah.
weightlifting, because especially for females, our bone strength needs the resistance. And yes, I do feel that I'm going to be standing taller. I'm preventing my shoulders from slumping forward. My abs are getting stronger. And boy, I want some strong arms for the holidays because I want to, hug my kids a little warmer. So that's what you have to bottle up. And if you have struggled with bottle that up, take a picture of yourself and put it
Yeah.
on your phone with a reminder that you want to work out. Like you, like whatever, I was being sweaty, thumbs up, and like, oh, that's how I felt. Got it.
Yeah.
Let's get there again. That was a good feeling. And right now I'm not feeling good. So let's do this,
Yeah. I actually have a picture of me. So not last October, but the October before, we went to Hawaii as a family, and I took a picture of myself because I had just done Whole30. I was doing MBF, which is muscle burns fat from Beachbody. I had done that for the 3 weeks before. So I looked pretty buff. I was like, I felt good. I looked good. And I took that picture and I printed it out and put it on my vision board because that's me. Like, I'm not trying to look like some gigantic bodybuilder or anything. Like, I just want to feel like I felt when I took that picture and was like, yeah, you know what? My work paid off. But it's not necessarily always just like weightlifting and things like that. Like, last year I went roller skating with one of my girlfriends, and like, holy cow, that was so much cardio and it was so much fun. Like, we dressed up in the 90s. I had an MTV t-shirt on. My roller skates are like bright pink with yellow wheels. And like, I've done that. I've done, like, people do everything from horseback riding to taking long walks. Like, I think in our heads, we think we have to go to the gym and we have to lift weights and that's working out. But really, like, my dad, like, for a long time did construction and did side jobs and stuff. And like, I know even when we renovated my house in Chicago, it was 3 sets of stairs, getting all of those tiles up and getting everything up the stairs. So like, when, construction workers don't have to work out because they're constantly lifting and constantly doing that. But if they work out plus doing that, they're going to get twice the strength and stuff. So I mean, it's like changing what we think of as working out. Even just moving boxes up and down stairs, or taking a box and moving into a staging area. I remember when I was going through my life coaching certification, we had to do peer coaching. You have to get like 40 hours of peer coaching in prior to actually taking your first client in. And so one of the girls, her name is Sandra, she was really beating herself up. Her husband's family had come in town, and they had a smaller place, and she was like constantly up and down the stairs doing laundry. And she's like, I haven't gotten my workouts in. And she loved like horseback riding and things like that. And I said, well, what did you do yesterday? Tell me what, your day was like. And she's like, well, I didn't work out. I'm like, no, just tell me about your day. And the more she was telling me, I mean, she was running all over the place, like up and down the stairs, doing like several loads of laundry. everything about her day was working out, but she hadn't associated what she was doing with working out. And I said, well, if you need to, throw like a squat in there every time you fold a shirt. Like, there's your workout, like things like that we just don't think of that can make a small change, but can be fun as well.
Totally agree. And that's really something to where it comes in with coaching, because sometimes you're so hard on yourself, but at the same time, it's making the most out of your day. So that's maybe also tying in my German background. I make it super efficient for you. So if you tell me you don't have an hour during the day to work out, I'm going to find you 5 minutes. And I'm going to make those 5 minutes a desk workout that you will feel your abs on the next day. I promise you. I have a class that I teach. It's called 6-Pack Abs, and I can teach you a 6-minute 6-Pack Abs class where you never ever have to change your clothing. You're not going to sweat, but you're going to be sore the next day. So we're going to say,
I think that's your next reel. I think you should do that on a reel for sure, because I will watch that over and over again. I'll pin that.
I actually have people that requested what they call a butts and guts class, and that became pretty popular. And I did an abs class at the beach one time where we did like little push-ups at rocks here in California and different things like leg lift and stuff. And they were like, I can't believe it. This is actually like super efficient, and I'm not even changing my clothing. I can do this between whatever Zoom calls, client meetings, picking up children. So that's really where the coaching comes in, that I kind of like look at it as like you're opening your closet and there's all these cool spices and you're like, don't know what to do with that one, don't know what that one, oh, that one expired. So I will look at your particular spices, because we all love different flavors, and I will put a flavor wheel together for you to where like, oh, this is fun. Yeah. So I will create spice in your life, and I will go make it exactly to where you want to be. Yes, I have a 21-day Journey to Wellness program, and it's been absolutely amazing. I've had the most critical people go through it, and afterwards being like, oh my gosh, I learned so much, and I can't believe this happened. Because
I
then
can't
I'm
wait to
thinking,
go through it.
this is going to be another one of those things. Absolutely not, right? This is not how it works, because it's the one-on-one coaching that we're all missing. So we've been talking a lot about exercise. We've been talking a lot about mugs and drinking. What we all really miss is that body-mind connection, because the coaching will give you one thing that no corporate wellness program can do, because Hello Happiness is me, and I'm going to talk to you. So my coaching programs all have a one-on-one coaching element in there where we actually talk and we individualize exactly what you're trying to get out of, and we individualize how you're going to get there. So it's not really just like, here, I already made this plan, you're just going to download it. It's more like, what does Marriott need and what does Marriott want?
Yeah, I love that. I think food is really important too, from a kind of a mental wellness perspective. And I know you touch a lot on that, eating a lot of vegetables. And I know for me, I have to remove the gluten and dairy, and that right there, takes a lot off my plate. I mean, even removing dairy, for somebody that's wanting to lose weight, dairy is something that helps you lose weight rather quickly when you remove it. But there's also alternatives. Like I haven't felt much, everybody wants nachos and cheese and all those things, but like the more refined and processed, sugars and breads and things like that, the harder your mind is going to have to work to process. And that's where things like brain fog comes. And, like the more vegetables you put in your body, it's water soluble. So your body can pass it faster. So talk a little bit about that, like kind of mind, body, food kind of element, because I think that that's really important.
So I actually have a whole blog post, and I can share that with you afterwards, that's called Food and Mood, where I talk about how certain foods have certain ingredients that actually transform our mood. And you already indicated the fresh fruits and veggies, the energy that we get. But there are also some vegetables that actually more calm you down because they have ingredients such as vitamin B6 that are actually more calming. So if you eat them in the evening, whether that's in, chickpeas or a hummus, which has that ingredient right there, it's actually great before you go to bed because it leads a little bit more of a calming down of your nervous system right there. So the connection between food and mood is actually very prevalent. And I emphasize that a lot in my coaching because it has a lot to do with what you crave and what you desire is sometimes your body actually signaling certain things to you. And whether that's just a change you're going through or the transformation in your life. This morning I talked with my daughter and she said, oh, I think I'm getting my periods. Actually, I'm not really feeling hungry at all. And I said, yeah, that's just how we are. But
Hormones.
the really more important thing is we have to become aware about what our bodies are telling us. So sometimes we kind of just tune that out and we use food as just a method to taking one step at a time. And the goal really is that you're becoming in tune with what your body needs and nourishing it when it needs it. So in my training, I emphasize a lot of the why. Why are you feeling like eating nachos right now? What are nachos doing to you that maybe a tomato salad really couldn't accomplish, right? What do you associate with nachos? Maybe nachos is a comfort food and you need that on Mondays. Yay, you for taking Taco Tuesday early, right? I mean, you're a trendsetter. You're doing something early. Whoa!
Yeah.
And that's cool. So the main goal is just to think a little bit about the role of food in our life and intentionally choosing things that spark joy and not just like, going for foods because we need to eat something for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, but maybe even weaving in foods that are I would say, let's just say the word new. Okay. So maybe you have not tried some recipes that I've used or certain ingredients. And I'm going to push you out of your comfort zone very intentionally because I want to see what happens. Usually people come in because they're unbalanced. And I'm going to try and like tip you from all sides and see how I can get that balance back in. And it starts with whatever you're doing right now is not working. So maybe I'm going to give you some new toys to play around with, whether that's an exercise or a recipe or just giving you ideas what you can think about during the day to see which one of those toys are working. And that's very intentional because sometimes we feel very stuck. That's maybe a good word. Stuck mentally, stuck, whether that's in your digestive issue, maybe you feel like constipated or you feel bloated, and you're just feeling sluggish and tired. And the stuckness is something that I'm going to focus on and I'm going to get you unstuck. All right.
Yeah.
And that starts with food. So what I always emphasize is that when I started my own personal wellness journey, I was like scared as shit. I can honestly say that. I was like, I know that what I'm doing right now is not working.
Yeah.
But I don't know I want to change because it might actually get worse.
Yeah.
It's like the absolute like a negative Millie, right? It's like, I know it's not great.
Well, that's a real fear. Yeah.
Then again, I think if I change it, it might actually be worse. So why change?
Yeah.
Because I kind of like just set one step in front of the other and I'm just going to keep doing what I'm doing. So I talked to a lady the other day and she's seriously married without kidding. She came to a point to where she sat down and she put in Google, how can I get happy?
Oh.
So sometimes we focus on wellness goals like, oh man, I have to lose some weight. I have to do, like those these outfits for the holidays. I need to wear them. I can't wear them anymore. That's all cool. It's all external stuff. But really what's going on is inside. Maybe you look at pictures of yourself and it's like, dang, well, I look happy. I look tired. Or maybe you think of yourself as just like being a shell of who you were, whatever, 2 years ago. That's really what I'm going to focus on. I'm going to focus on let's not Google how to get happy. Let's get you happy. And that starts with, digging up really the root cause of how you even get there. I'm going to get you unstuck.
I think it's important too, because a lot of people get stuck on the cooking for themselves, right? And if you don't know how to cook, because I mean, a lot of people think healthy food is expensive, but there are programs out there that you can even like for a while I was doing Project Lean Nation that had dairy and gluten-free meals that I literally put in the air fryer or in the microwave, and they were delicious, you know? So there are things out there that if you are in that place where you just can't, like, make it easy, right? Don't
Yep.
reinvent the wheel. Somebody's probably already doing it. I know Whole30 has partners across the country that you can order their food from. So there's a lot of opportunities to do that. And I think that that's like that one thing that, okay, if I don't have to cook for myself, especially when you're moving and you're packing up your kitchen and you're, getting like a service like that could be really valuable, because then you don't have to worry about cooking. As long as you have a microwave or an air fryer, which most people do these days, it's an easy way to like kind of get yourself through the stress. Because if you're eating crap food, and by crap, I mean sugars and processed foods and things like that, your brain is not going to be functioning optimally. And you layer on the stress of a move and transition and things like that, which they say moving is the most stressful event, only second to divorce. That's insane,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
So if your mind isn't in the right place, and that's part of why I press pause on me looking to move right now, because I was considering moving at the end of the year. Maybe in the January, February timeframe. I'm not even going to consider it until March, when I'm in a better physical and mental place. I've dealt with a lot of grief this year. I'm about to deal probably with more grief with, losing Carter probably soon. Ugh, kills me. To lose 2 dogs in 6 months is brutal. But there's things like that you're already dealing with from a stress perspective. And if you layer on a big life transition like that, you're not going to be thinking clearly when you go into these places. You're just going to pick whatever, instead of really saying, like you did when you went to San Luis Obispo, am I thriving? Could I have real good energy in this place? Can I take walks and do all those things that I need to do to like feel good in my body? Well, maybe not if you're just picking a random place on the map, So, there's so much.
Yeah. So what you're saying is exactly right, that sometimes we have these external changes in our life happening. And you're so smart, Marriott, for saying, you know what, not the right time. Can't deal with that right now. Because that's just so good to create boundaries, right? So like, I'm just actually going to give you like a little visual right here. So let's just assume like this mug here is like, filled with water, and you're basically just, floating along in there, and you're like a big sponge, and you're just like soaking up all the stress from moving, from your work, from your dog, whatever is going on in your life. And your life is out of control. You're just like sponging it all up. So really what we should be doing, and that's, why I emphasize coaching so much, is if you imagine like this being like a little boundary thing, you should be creating boundaries around you. So if I were to put Marriott like sponge in here and then put you back into your environment right there, all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need some boundaries right now, because it's got the moving element. And maybe I'm not going to be hard on myself and creating like a 5-star meal with like fresh vegetables every night, because I can tell you one thing, I'm not doing that either. So you need to create boundaries and say no to what you can say no to, and just don't be so hard on yourself, because the main goal is just really start small, celebrate small wins, and think about what can you take off right now from your plate. So that in general, when you expose yourself to the stresses of every day, they are not just like tearing you in all different directions.
Yeah, it's so important. I actually, when I was going through, so if you are listening and you're not on my mailing list, when you join my mailing list, I send a PDF out, and it's just the FRED framework, which is finances, robustness, ecosystem, and dreams. And it's a PDF. It's about 14 pages, and it helps you like kind of work through kind of what I coach around, right? It's a very abridged version. But what I was finding is that when I was going through the robustness one, everything else I was kind of flying through. And the robustness one, I kept having to come back to it. And then I was like, gosh, it just doesn't, like, I always tell people, like, buy 5 boxes or bring in 5 boxes from like Amazon or whatever, and put them in your house and see, like, if you're super excited to pack them and you start going through your pantry or whatever, that's a sign. But if you like sit there and start giving it like the evil eye every day and you're like, I just want those boxes out, that's probably a better sign to say, like, you're not ready. And so what I did was I was like, okay, well, what if I moved in, what if I listed my house in December and then, hopefully it gets sold and, I'll move in January, February. And I was like, ugh, like my body just like tensed up. And I was like, okay, well, what if I waited and listed in, January or February? And my body was still like, oh no. And then I was like, March is like 6 months. And I was like, 6 months is doable. And I just felt like this sense of relief come over me that I was like, gosh, if I was pushing through on top of all the other stress I was feeling and like how, I'm not eating well. So like, I'm, not feeling good in my body, not feeling comfortable in my body. 6 months is great because now I have time to start working out in the morning and getting my back into shape. I have time to start eating better and getting on a healthier diet with more veggies and things that I can cook. I can start batching my cooking on Sundays. I used to love batch cooking on Sunday afternoons because that was something that I did before, and then I wouldn't have to think about it because I'm one of those people that like I get hangry, so like if I'm meeting and I have constant meetings all day and I can just run into the kitchen and like throw something in a pot and warm it up really quick and then come back to my desk, like that's euphoria for me. Like I can do two things at once then. But if I have to make a physical meal, I'm not going to do it. I'm either just going to, do a protein shake or I'm not going to eat, and that's not good for you either, so it really is like that mindfulness that you talked about at the beginning of the episode, and like, being aware of how you feel. Like, am I happy right now? Do I feel like I have to Google how do I get happy, right? That's when you should reach out to a coach to say, hey, I'm at that point where I'm not, thinking clearly anymore. What could I do? Right. So
Totally.
I love that. And your 21-day wellness program, I feel like, is an amazing start. I'm going to actually download it today. I know it was very affordable. So, I mean, I think that that's something that like people also get afraid of, like, is when you're joining a program or getting a coach or something. Like, I think people would be shocked at how affordable my program is and your program is in relative to kind of what you could be feeling and doing and like thriving in life, so.
Totally. And it's kind of like the main goal is just to get started. So it's 21 days. Does it need to be consecutive? Not at all. My program emphasizes they're like 5-minute videos and they're super fun. There's even dogs and cats appearing with little gifts and things like that. So the 5-minute fun videos, I had people that watched them every morning because they wanted to just have a positive and fun experience when they got up. And then they would actually text me afterwards and I would say, hold on, I watched all 21 videos on one day. And I was like, yeah, you, because you can do it.
No.
I mean, they're only 5 minutes long. It's not like, you can't, but then they, spread them more out and they check. There's also fun little quizzes. Like self-assessment is so important. Learning about yourself is part of your wellness journey. Like, hold on, I don't like running. So maybe I'm doing rollerblading. Yeah, you.
Go roller. I used to love rollerblading. Roller skating is so different. Like my roller skates that I have, I think are indoor only. So I feel like I need to get some rollerblades and just go like, tear up the neighborhood a bit. You do.
We could be total rollerblade buddies. The rollerblade buddies.
I love
I can
it.
see that already. Cool.
We could have a roller gang.
And so that's kind of like what it's all about. That you are essentially looking at wellness as not being like this huge mountain you got to climb, but maybe it's more like, oh, I can take my time getting up there. I can sit down in between and take a rest. And I can do things the way that I want to do it. Maybe I don't want to take the steep road up. Maybe I want to take the scenic route up. And maybe actually while I do walk up, I also hang out with friends, my accountability partners. So that's super important. And thinking about doing it is basically just the roadmap. So you need to think about, like, just like with moving, the roadmap to your next place really starts with making a plan, and then following through on the plan is something to where we always appreciate the coaching element right there. So I love it.
Yeah. You're the only one that can do that though, right? And that's why I always say, like, you need to have 3 people in your life. You need to have a therapist to, like, they're like the archaeologist that digs up the bones and figures out what got you to this point. And then you have a coach who, like, helps you take those dreams and desires and builds a roadmap for you and a blueprint. And then you as the construction crew that actually has to go build that life, So I think that's I love it. Well, thank you so much, Christiane, for being on the podcast. I know this is incredibly valuable. Most people don't think about health and wellness and happiness as part of a move. I know I'm a joyful mover, but not many people are. So, this is part of my mission, is to get people to love moving and being content if they decide to stay. So thank you so much for all of your wisdom and insight.
Yeah, and of course, reach out. Hello Happy Nest on Instagram. It's hello.happy.nest, NEST, like the nest.
Okay.
And I would be happy to also, of course, have you tune into my podcast, The Happy Healthy Hustle, and just sharing my wisdom in my wonderful Journey to Wellness program. I'm doing a free masterclass actually this week. So I would love to see you. It's on November 1. So I know that by the time this show airs, this might be in the past. But I would love for you to take advantage of anything that I can share. So just send me a DM and I would be happy to connect with you.
Yeah, maybe we'll do a special webinar just for the Marriott's on the Move guests.
Let's do it. I love that.
I love
Making
it.
it all exclusive. I love it.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much again, and we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Well, I could go on forever and ever about moving you closer to your dreams, but I probably should save some thoughts for the next episode. A big thanks goes out to you for making time for me today. And making time for me, you're making time for future you, and we're both grateful. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe to the podcast, download the episodes, and leave me a 5-star review. I would really appreciate it. In return, if you go to my website, marriottsonthemove.com, and register for the Monday mailer, I'll send you a free Fred workbook to get your journey started. This is also where you can find all the show notes and all the ways to get in touch with me. A special thanks goes out to Rogue Media for its wisdom and partnership. Until next time, friends, keep moving forward towards your dreams. Oh, and the legal stuff. This podcast is presented solely for educational and entertainment purposes. I am a certified coach, not a licensed therapist, and this is not meant to replace the professional advice of a physician, psychotherapist, or other qualified professionals. This is solely my perspective based on my own experience and training. Okay, now it's over. For reals. Bye for now.